rant. It disconnected during our Chiefs rant. Maybe Restream said Josh McDaniels is too incompetent to get a shout out from us here at Restream. I had the Chiefs at 11-6, the Broncos at 9-8. I do have the Raiders going 3-14, finishing with the league's worst record.
It was a preemptive strike against Josh McDaniels. We can go with that.
Okay. I have the Raiders beating the Steelers in week 3, the Giants in week 9, and I have them beating the Broncos at home later in the season. And if they fail to win any of those games, 0-17 is on the horizons for this Las Vegas Raiders franchise. Yeah, because you can see the screen, but you can't see my face on the split screen for Restream, but whatever. It's all good. There we go. Now you can see the screen and my face. But yeah, the Raiders, 3-14. I'm looking for that third. Yeah, we have beating the on football. We actually have the Broncos sweeping the Raiders this year. So yeah, we have the Broncos beating the Chargers on Thursday Night Football, the Giants on Sunday night, and the Steelers on Sunday night, and the Giants on Sunday afternoon, where Garoppolo outplays Daniel Jones. So,
can the Raiders re-sign John Gruden again?
Honestly, it would be more entertaining than what they have now. I mean, you're not wrong when you say that.
It'd be far better. All right, I've got the Browns-Chiefs game on.
Is it on NFL Network, Joey? Because I might move in from the office to the living room if it's on.
I've got NFL Plus.
I could still do the live stream from my living room, but I'd have to mute the TV. But I am considering doing that. I am considering making that executive decision. Okay, we've got the Chargers loaded up here. I hope Restream finds the Chargers to be more appealing than the Raiders, but I think the Chargers are healthier than they were a season ago. Their only injury is right now at nose tackle. They still have the 2 nose tackles from last year injured. But everybody else is healthy, and Brandon Staley's the only coach in the league that runs a 2-4-5 defense. 2 defensive linemen, 4 linebackers, 5 defensive backs, Joey. He's the only coach in the league that runs that defense. And it didn't work against the Jaguars last year. So if the Chargers lose in the first round again, they're going to have to fire him and bring in somebody else, because I don't think that scheme works. 43 works, 34 works, nickel works, 4-2-5 nickel works. I don't think a 2-4-5 with 2 defensive linemen, 4 linebackers with Bosa and Mack on the edges, outside linebackers, and 5 defensive backs is very effective.
It really depends on how you do it.
It does.
It depends on how you line it up, because you can mask the 4-2-5 or the 2-4-5 into anything. You can mask it into a 3-3-5. Or you can mask it into a 4-3-4. You can mask, depending on your personnel and how good you are at doing the zone blitz. Because that's really what it comes down to. Can you make the zone blitz make people second guess? So it is an interesting defense. It is a defense that is, you have to be able to fool the defenses. You have to make them think that you're coming. You have to make them think that there is not much of a threat when there is a threat.
Yeah, and Nasir Adderley retired.
It was one based on matchups.
Yeah, and Nasir Adderley retired. So the guy currently starting next to Derwin James at free safety is Alohi Gilman, and Gilman got injured. But Gilman's beating out third-round pick J.T. Woods, the Baylor safety you drafted, who played next to Jalen Patir. J.T. Woods was the guy who was expected to come in and start this year. He hasn't taken that leap yet. And with Alohi Gilman, the guy who beating him out for the starting job, currently injured, Chargers might have a weakness at free safety, just like the Chiefs. So And the Chargers'
They-
two defensive linemen at nose tackle are currently injured. Both the starting and backup nose tackle for the 2-4-5 defense are currently injured. So, yeah.
But you have to realize, though, with the 2-4-5, you have to have that big nickel. You have to have that pass rushing.
Well, the Chargers have J.C. Jackson at their number one corner. They have Michael Davis as their number two. And they've got Asante Samuel at nickel. So they can run the defense with the corners they have. But they don't have the free safety that can take pressure off of Derwin James at strong safety. And they did bring in Eric Kendricks.
The safety position is really important because the safety position is more important as if you have a Malu or some of the other great, you can use linebackers in different ways because Polamalu type player would come up and take that role. But for the most part, you have to have the two guys deep because you know that these guys, they're going to try. Their offenses are not going to take the pass rushes seriously in that defense.
Yeah.
And they're going to sit back there. So you're going to have those two guys that can really play the deep field because you're going to have more time if you don't have the proper personnel to run
week,
that
NFL
type of
Network
defense.
would not air the Browns-Eagles game live. They did the same thing today. NFL Network is airing the Packers-Seahawks live instead of Browns-Chiefs. I'm starting to think NFL Network may have a bias against the Browns. I mean, the game's in Kansas City.
Yeah,
it's not even in Philadelphia. I get not airing Browns-Eagles because it's in Philadelphia and because Ohio and Philadelphia are both affiliated to Pittsburgh. I get not airing that game.
I think, yeah, it just started. I think Bubba Venture's already going to kill somebody on special teams for the Browns, number 84. And what the hell? Grant is already down. First play of the preseason. Grant Sr., who was on the bubble to make the team, is already down, holding his leg. Coming off an ACL injury.
Kick returner, Joey? Is that Jakeem Grant? Let's get back to the Chargers here. But with the Chargers, I have beating Vikings. I think Eric Kendricks, he's going to find a way to stop the running game with Dalvin Cook gone. And then the Chargers play the Raiders in week 4 at home. I have them winning that game. I have the Chargers starting 4-0. Kellen Moore handing the Cowboys their first loss of the season. Cowboys their second loss of the season. The Cowboys losing to San Francisco in week 5. And the Chargers on Monday Night Football in week 6. So I have the Chargers 5-0. But then they charger their way to a loss against the Chiefs in week 7. I think the Chargers are good enough to split with Kansas City, assuming they avoid the injury bug, but I don't think they're ready enough to take that next step and sweep the Chiefs during the regular season. So I do have the Chiefs at Arrowhead beating the Chargers.
Even without Thornhill, I feel like the Chargers are going to figure out a way to throw an interception with defensive linemen.
And the Chargers don't have Nasir Adderley, so it evens out for both Mahomes and Herbert. Both Mahomes and Herbert can pick apart those free safeties. But Chargers might still find a way to screw that up. The Chargers beat the Bears in week 8, but they lose the Jets in week 9. I do have the Chargers beating the Lions in week 10, which is a home game for the Chargers. I have the Packers beating the Chargers in week 11. I have the Chargers beating the Ravens. Chargers, I'm not sure who the Chargers play in week 13. They play the Patriots. So I have the Chargers charging with losses against the Patriots and the Raiders. With Rashawn Slater back, I do like the Chargers. They're going to have Zion Johnson at left guard. They're going to have Salyer at right guard, Lindsley at center. I think the weak is right. Strong defense in the preseason. He was in the third quarter of the game and struggling against the Rams' second team, giving up a sack to them. So I think Pipkins will be the weak link of this defense. I have the Chargers beating the Broncos in week 14. They lose the Raiders in week 15. They beat the Bills on Peacock, and then they lose the Broncos in Denver, and then the Chargers beat the Chiefs So they end the year 11-6, but the Chargers and Chiefs both go 11-6. Chargers go 3-3 in the AFC West. The Chiefs go 5-1 with their only loss coming to the Chargers in Week 18. So even if the Chargers have the better depth chart on paper, because I do believe the Chargers have the better depth chart on paper, I just don't see them beating the Chiefs in Week 7 in Kansas City. I also don't see them beating the Chiefs in the playoffs if they somehow manage to beat the Chiefs in Week 18.
Chris, an update. Grant was carted off, and Conklin is starting.
Yeah.
So those two, there's a little bit of an update on the game there in the first 4 seconds of the game.
That's what I'm Joey, is that I can see the Chargers beating the Chiefs in Week 18 at home. I can't see them winning in Week 7. And if the Chargers and Chiefs are playing in the wild card after the Chargers beat the Chiefs in Week 18, you know what the Chiefs are going to do? They're going to come out fired up, pissed off, and they are going to win the wild card game. And the Chargers are going to charger their way out of the opening round of the playoffs for the second year in a row. And yes, you can make the argument that the Chargers have the better depth chart on paper than the Chiefs, but if the Chiefs left tackle Donovan Smith holds up, if Felix Anudike-Uzomah holds up, Chargers' only chance is they beat the Chiefs in Week 7, assuming Chris Jones continues his holdout into Week 8, and they find a way to win that game in Kansas City without Chris Jones in the lineup. That is the Chargers' only prayer, because in that scenario, the Chiefs fall to 10-7, the Chargers go 12-5, and the Chargers win the division. That is the Chargers'
That's an interesting development. Do you know who the Chiefs have starting at nose tackle today?
They have Derek Nottie from last year.
Danny Shelton at nose tackle.
They brought him in as a backup, but he's not even the best player. Their best is
starting today.
Derek Nottie is starting next to Jones. Derek Nottie and Chris Jones were the first team defensive tackles on the Chiefs Super Bowl roster last year. Danny Shelton was just insurance.
That's why it was surprising to me when they just pulled that up.
This is why you study the depth charts,
I wasn't expecting that.
This is why you follow the depth charts rather than just mentioning the star players.
I'm watching the game live.
Good. I did a write-up on the Chiefs.
They said they were playing the. I'm just going with what I'm seeing, and I was just a little bit surprised, and I thought you would,
I'll pull up my Chiefs write-up really quickly here, because I did do a Chiefs write-up. I did a Charger write-up with the projected depth charts for each team, but the Chiefs, they have Charles Omenin, who got suspended the first 6 games, but they have Chris Jones and Derek Nottie at defensive tackle. I did not mention Danny Shelton as the backup, but I do think Shelton could maybe hold up for the first half of the season.
Oh, dang. The Chiefs player come up
if Chris Jones holds out, Danny Shelton. Joey, you don't need to memorize numbers. Remember their position. Yes.
Yeah, I've got so much stuff to remember. No. Instead of holding his hip. He's broken off though, so we're good.
Yeah, the Chargers might have a better depth chart on paper than the Chiefs, but if they are playing the wild card round in Kansas City, they will lose. They have got to beat the Chiefs in Week 7 with Chris Jones out of the lineup in order to win the division.
Yeah.
And even if they were to do that and they drew the Chiefs a third time, I think the Chiefs will win the third matchup, even if the Chargers ended up sweeping them in the regular season, because this is what the Chargers do. They charger their way out of the playoffs. It's too frequent of an occurrence.
Yeah.
And they got to get their first playoff win to earn that respect. I'm not saying they can't do it, but until they do it, they're the team we like, not the team we respect.
Yeah, and I am saying that both of these teams are liars. They said starters would be playing 20 to 25 snaps. Selective starters are playing 20 to 25 snaps. So it's both teams are liars. But I'm getting to see some depth here, and I know you love depth. And the Chiefs
have a ton of receiver depth, Joey.
I think Yeah, they do have a lot of receiver depth, but I think I'm on as far as offensive line and running back don't have as much depth as we may.
I disagree with you on the running back depth, Joey. I think the Chiefs have a lot of running back depth. Pacheco, Jarek McKinnon, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, and they have Deneric Prince. They have 4 good running backs. I think the Chiefs have a lot.
I thought they did as well, but the first couple run plays, they got jacked behind the line of scrimmage. I'm not exactly sure which running back it was. I wasn't paying. I think it was McKinnon. But then McKinnon came back with like a 20-yard reception, so I can't really hold anything against him.
Yeah, and the Chiefs have Tony Moore, Valdez-Scantling as their top 3 receivers. Kelsey's the main weapon, though. The backup receivers are Richie James, Justin Watson, and Rashee Rice. They also have Justin Ross. So the Chiefs have 7 weapons. They're even deeper at receiver than a year ago, despite losing Juju. And they have Noah Gray as the backup tight end. Blake Bell is the third stringer with 4
like I said during the preview that they had. I thought open. That's because they're so freaking deep. That spot to be open to the best available because they are deep at receiver.
They are very deep at receiver.
I think we both agree on that.
They're deep at receiver, deep at tight end, and deep at running back. Andy Reid has an arsenal of weapons. I know one Chiefs fan, Keaton, who follows me on Twitter, was bitching about Jody Forston being out for the year. But it's like, Matt Bushman's your 4th-string tight end. He was good at BYU. At one point in the draft process, very early of 2020, he was considered a better prospect than Kyle Pitts. At one point in the process, he was considered a better prospect than Pitts at one point. And he's your 4th-string tight end. So quit your bitching. Nobody feels sorry for you. We might feel sorry for you if this had happened to Kelsey, but Chiefs are very deep at tight end.
The Chiefs are going to win this division. I mean, I'm watching, certain starters and backups sit here and play their asses off, against the Browns and do pretty well. They're deep. They're overall, they're deep, and they have. It's like I just saw Watson, wide receiver number 84.
Justin Watson, former Penn receiver.
Your biography.
For the Penn Quakers, I loved him coming out of the 28 Buccaneers. Took him in the 5th round, and for them during the Super Bowl run. I think he had the go-ahead touchdown Week 2 matchup between the Chiefs and Chargers on Amazon Prime, and that was probably the best game. That was probably the best Amazon Prime game of the season because that was the first Prime game with Herb Street and Al Michaels. The Week 2 matchup very early in the season, and then Chargers
matchups last year, they were painful to watch.
No, that was the match when the Chiefs beat the Chargers, and it was the game. Goes Colts made a game out of our brain.
They were like we paid.
Yeah, the Colts made about the Commanders game and lo and behold, that's what Okay, so now we're moving on to the Cardinals.
It is good. I do think it would be remiss of me to mention Andy Reid looks like he's lost a few pounds.
Yeah.
So,
Andy Reid's best coaches in football. I mean, you could argue he's the top coach in football right now with Belichick imploding without Tom. But yeah, whenever we get to the Cardinals, Restream trying to protest because Restream, we were about to do our Restream's like, nah, you can't talk about the Cardinals. You can't talk about their yeah, it's like, yeah, Restream not talk about the Cardinals. You can talk about the other, you just can't talk about the Cardinals. For AFC, they did make the who's no longer on the Browns Chiefs game. So yeah, it's going to be Colt McCoy, Josh Dobbs. Josh Dobbs and Colt McCoy. Really? What do you? We're still streaming. God. Live streams like please, Chris.
They just trade away there. Trade away the
They still have their captain Buda Baker, who I consider to be their best player. Last year, their two best players. They didn't have Bill Anderson. They traded out of the pick. They Johnson at 6. Traded Josh Jones, the backup left tackle, and starts last guard tackle, a left tackle. So the first picks from the 2020 draft are gone. They drafted Josh, and they also drafted 8. 2 picks from the 2020 draft are both no longer on the roster. Isaiah Simmons, who and on the
I break out this obviously because single freaking one of them.
Draft was both walk after J.J. Watt. The deal. The Cardinals signed Jalen Cobb started for
everything together.
4-13.
The Cardinals was the Texans.
I've got the Cardinals at 10. I have the win games against Atlanta. I have the 49 returns. If it wasn't flicking to San Francisco, Allen week 18. That's assuming if he doesn't.
That's good.
If he doesn't,
the Cardinals should be really.
I think he's the Cardinals going 0-6 Browns and the Lions record of 0-16 season. So it's actually pretty, and they are underdog team. They're the underdog in all 17 regular season games.
I
don't think the Lions were underdogs in all 17 games. I had a game and I think
the that was Cardinals. Oh, the interception by the Browns, and it is a pick six. Thornhill with the pick.
Back.
It is quarterback, but
Blaine Gabbert's replacing Chad Henne. Remember, Chad Henne retired. He replaced Chad Henne with Blaine Gabbert.
It's
so
I'm just Thornhill.
Blaine
Thornhill.
Blaine Gabbert or Shane Shelley. You got details. This is important detail, Joey.
It was really against it. And K. York is down, holding his ankle.
Shelley threw the pick. Shane Buechele, former through the pick. Chiefs practice squad. Now you can see why, obviously. Quarterback against the Browns' first nice smart move by Kansas City. It's supposed to be the backup to Mahomes.
Yeah.
That thing So obviously,
they've got the Chiefs have starting first team offensive linemen and receivers, and they have second team receivers and then linemen and a third string quarterback and a first string line running really up here.
Well, McKinnon's the backup. McKinnon's the backup running back, but yeah. I think they're doing this to see if they want to put Buechele on the 53-man roster mode in the practice squad again. I think the Chiefs have already decided Mahomes is our backup because they have Chris Olcoon and they have the Steelers 2022 7th round pick. They have Buechele trying to beat out a better guy, good enough for a stringer role, or are we just going to keep those guys and let them develop there? I think that's not because I don't see
that's our process because they've got their first and second string first and players that are just you might be on the right track.
Okay, so I 13 at least 0-17. This I think Bama had the Cardinals at 0-17. Just that the Cardinals are being projected to go 17. It's embarrassing. It's also kind of hilarious.
It is, and it also shows why we're talking about the Chiefs at this point rather than the Cardinals. We don't know by the Cardinals simply
The Lions, I mean, not the Lions, the Rams. I thought of Stafford, and the first thing that came out of my mouth was.
Yeah. I'm all for less embarrassment. Please, let's go.
Restream. Guys, can't talk about the Rams. You have to keep talking about the Cards. We don't want to.
I am watching the Browns Chiefs game. I will find out a way to talk about this game rather than the Cardinals.
Yeah, I'm learning about the Cardinals. I'm taking the Cardinals. I'm taking a sticky note and saying Cardinals segment, and I'm locking it into a vault or a tube, and we're never mentioning it again. We're never mentioning it again on the podcast. Never again.
Pretty much.
It's like that segment in The Wolf of Wall Street where Matthew McConaughey puts the Microsoft and says "fire in the hole." Leonardo DiCaprio, he cuts the door. That's pretty much the Cardinals' 2023 season, folks. So yeah, okay. Moving on to the Rams. This is a team 5. At the same time, they could be very. I mean, they could turn stats something. 12. I been winning in weeks 1 through 9. 11. Stetson Bennett winning Seattle, losing to the Cardinals. And I do have the Rams going. So 1-8. So 1-8 before the bye week. But if they're 1-8, I would say that's and then so 4-4 is one Stetson Bennett and go for play the
Stetson Bennett
took a load. Site.
Apologizing for my.
I'm apologizing to the audience because we're talking Niners. I thought we were awful.
Shamed.
No, I'm apologizing for delaying the Niners because we were. Turns out we're still on street. AFC. Niners. Starting the year 6. News. This is
to throw a block. Please do not do that again.
Yeah. Seattle on the I have the first game, but I have 14.
You know I shouldn't have to do this. We do not mean or we do not.
His name Silverback. Wrestling a literally.
And he is strong as the call.
No. He's like the apes. You know the the maybe that help the eyes sacrifice. I think Silverback will be that correct. And we're not encouraging. That's Williams.
No, he given that nickname for if I am here
right now, 85 one under week one of the
keep an eye, but from what I've seen and so what we see from the AFC?
well, right
but
because tackle, but Dan has done enough in the actually hold job in that game. But let's get back to the Greenlaw and Fred Warner on this defense. A lot of talent on this defense. I think they go 4-3. Joe. They were the second round to Philadelphia in the second round. You know, just where Pivots is an upgrade over Mike Colt. Nick Brendel at center. I think it's 17 million.
My failure. I do apologize. Family, please come kill. I apologize. I don't want to be
But yeah.
here at all. Have you seen even or like freaking yeah, it's so hot because you know people, you know, the Bosa.
Why Gary at this point? Doesn't deserve that.
I don't know. I think and all the way around 20. I think Donald is always shoulders above the rest on play. It's like Aaron Donald is
Here are the Aaron Donald, that's his average. TJ Watt, 28 million, 2,000 million. Million. Number 4, 23.5 million to re-sign. That's just the salary. Nick Bosa, million. 6 million, but you look at his cap hits 34 million in 2024, and I think Bosa wants that 32.5 million. That's what it's to resign. Bosa's not worth that. I mean, why only 20, which is about overpay. Just 1 million is a slow overpay as well. Quentin Williams at 24 million, you can make an argument about getting paid, but Chris Jones 30.
Myles Garrett, you know, but all you have to look at walking tall as is all of Fame goes back to the you know, is the man who decides and is the most lineman in the game. That.
And here's the thing. He was defense 5-time Pro defensive below Aaron Donald. He's still Donald still has more career to players. Video again at your convenience. Talk shoe. Not streaming. But yeah, I like Donald, so I him as much as okay, now we're still 203. It's 2. Very mundane. So here the note about to start.
Chris, very nice. A touchdown. Number 8 is an incredible pass on the pass. He may have.
I mean, I was asking you. So yeah, go back and or just to see on the just need to see the screen for playoffs. But Seattle does, which is what they
Is in Thompson Robinson.
is currently. I did turn that. Packers were beating Seattle 9. Seahawks at 8, missing the playoffs. Are beating the playoffs with a lose. Jackson Smith and the. I look. I mean, that is the reality situation. So, but yeah, I Cowboys.
Only would reinforce that
Browns
have a player, but a few teams that the AFC is really
NFC West. They're not last year. I think the Packers will improve playoffs at 8-9. That tells you is the NFC is bad. Where
you want to go. And
so here we have the two teams. We have two AFC. With this scenario, division rivalries. Four rivals playing each other, going to Dallas. With a after all the
for one situation, I'm going to say NFL. I'm going to say they would love the Jaguars, but the Jaguars push forward. Buffalo Bills win there.
I've got AFC says one Detroit
and then
Super Bowl. We have the two-seed Cowboys. Super Bowl in this.
My thought process. So
Big market team. That is this is that league.
The NFL
Make the Jaguars marketable. Marketable as the Bills have the better. Jaguars, they have suck outside. Have DeMaurice
at
Bills for the both stadium are so they still
we're that.
And the Cowboys losing Bill and
The Cowboys. No,
season MVP shot will winning regular season have the Bills win regular season.
I want you to because this
going the Jaguars going and getting one in the that he is getting conversation over no dispute that if it goes 3-1 he would be if the Jaguars Allen Lawrence is the regular season. I don't
have gone a
thought he's a bolder than Trevor Lawrence. I'm off the this prediction. Right now, defensive player in years.
We really have. It's something that you everything for you that we have and that you have
over Dallas. Vegas odds make win is
it really and what would be going you know you definitely situation that seem to be on. I'd be surprised.
right. Predictions. We played 5 years and we won here. Notre Dame winning that game, but do rosters for both teams go off fun, but it is Notre Dame is going to so Nate conference neither
weeks. This is the week you your first you want every you are defensive tackles composite.
To a pen, it's hard. Only player not if we on first if he's at running back. So that's Navy's offensive line at quarterback. I would advantage goes to has turning starters on. There is an ice cream truck in where I'm living in Pennsylvania. Any or Notre Dame.
So so there is Blaine Gabbert. Eating ice
cream. That's why I brought Notre Dame. They have talk about Blaine Gabbert. There we go. We just picked State Farm. Pack up spilled ice cream on his microphone with that. But Notre Dame start. They are playing at Dragon Stadium. The state that is KLS team in 20. Yeah, so they're going to play in Snap. Hayden and they only have on defense. Night. I mean, San Diego State only having 4 are comfortable. San Diego State. San Diego State is the favorite, even though they were off. I think you're being spotted on the spread. Point you just off if you my money on Ohio, man, but you know,
you know,
with Ohio beating San Diego at Dragon Stadium, brand new stadium, and then fans. I just don't from that. But over Hawaii. Teams have really bad teams that make alive.
I've seen live games in both stadiums. The only thing I can say is at least White has a view. Outside of that, both stadiums are incredibly outdated.
Yep.
Incredibly outdated. But I think Vandy would win this game. I think they're more of a solid team than Hawaii is. And that stadium with notwithstanding.
Yep. Yeah, San Jose State plays USC tonight. Chauvin Cordieros, the quarterback for San Jose State, they are upset-minded, but this is the Caleb Williams show. I will go Trojans 35, Spartans 14. And I think Caleb Williams comes out and dominates this game with 4 or 5 passing touchdowns, maybe a rushing touchdown. I think it's going to be the Caleb Williams show, and Caleb Williams will begin his Heisman campaign to repeat as Heisman Trophy winner against San Jose State, with the Trojans winning by 3 touchdowns minimum.
Well, Caleb Williams against the subpar defense. What else do you expect to happen?
I expect Caleb Williams to dominate, but who else is going to dominate? Who else on this USC roster that we discussed a few weeks ago is going to get their name on the draft radar? Because you have Taj Washington, Mario Williams, and Brendan Rice. Which one of those receivers, Brendan Rice is the son of Jerry Rice, by the way, which one of those receivers is going to dominate and emerge as a force for USC? Maybe freshman tight end Deuce Robinson emerges tonight. We don't know, but one of USC's weapons is going to exceed 100 yards in this game. We could see multiple weapons.
I want to say Rice because I am incredibly high on him. I think it may be too early for him. Let's say Williams. But I would not, if Rice goes off, I wouldn't be shocked, but I think it's too early for him, so I'd go Williams.
Yeah. But Mario Williams or Brendan Rice, I think one of those guys is going to exceed 100 yards and really show flashes of being a star, potentially a top 100 pick tonight. I think one of those two is going to begin their case for being a top 100 pick in the 2024 NFL Draft. I also think Eric Gentry is going to have a big night at middle linebacker as well. And keep an eye on nickel corner Max Williams. All right, last game, it is Florida International versus Louisiana Tech. That is the final game. There's 7 games tonight, but 2 of them just suck, and we're not going to preview the 2 that are boring. Joey and I already agreed to that before the podcast. So, yes. But yeah, I'm just trying to find. So it's not the Sun Belt. Let's try Conference USA. Just trying to find the correct conference. Okay, so it looks like Conference USA is the conference that has Florida International and Louisiana Tech. Yep. So this is a Conference USA game. And with Florida International, they have Grayson James back at quarterback. Lexington Jones entered the Lexington Joseph tore his ACL, and their other 2 running backs entered the transfer portal. So Florida International lost their top 2 running backs to Florida International lost their 2 offensive tackles to the transfer portal, and their starting running back tore his ACL, so they have to start a true freshman at running back. But Grayson James is an established quarterback. They've got some veteran leadership at guards, some nice players in the passing game. They should be a little better. Their core is intact. They have a lot of smart veteran coaches who know what they're doing. An opposing Conference USA assistant coach. Louisiana Tech. This is a team that has 7 returning starters on offense. They got Hank Bachmeier, the former Boise State quarterback. Hank Bachmeier has transferred to Louisiana Tech after losing the starting quarterback job, Joey. They have Marquise Crosby at running back, Cyrus Allen, Smoke Harris. I remember Smoke Harris. They have Trey Harris. I think that may be Smoke Harris, the former Smoke Harris is replacing Trey Harris. And then they've got 4 returning starters on the offensive line. I like Louisiana Tech at home versus Florida International. I'm not saying Florida International can't win. Louisiana Tech's projected to go 5-7 compared to Florida International 4-8. And I think one of these teams is favored by 12 on the point spread. I think Louisiana Tech's the favorite. I want to check the spread for this one, but I am leaning towards Louisiana Tech. I want to see the spread here. Oh, yeah. Louisiana Tech is favored by 12 over Florida Atlantic. I like Louisiana Tech to win and cover. I think they win by 2 touchdowns. I will go 27-14. They barely cover the 12-point spread, but they find a way to get the job done. And Hank Bachmeier just picks apart this Florida International secondary that only has 1 returning starter at free safety who's a true sophomore. So I think Bachmeier is going to have himself a nice game at Tech. They're favoring Boise State to transfer to Louisiana Tech. So I think Bachmeier is going to be the story of that game. I'm glad you suggested Florida International versus Louisiana Tech, because that's a cool nugget with former Boise State quarterback Hank Bachmeier transferring to Louisiana Tech. I mean, probably Louisiana Tech's best quarterback since Jeff Driscoll, Joey. I mean, because I remember Driscoll was at Florida and he transferred to Louisiana Tech. So Bachmeier could be Louisiana Tech's best QB since Driscoll a few years ago. I think it'll be interesting to see what the Louisiana Tech Bulldogs do this season. But I like them in week 1 against Florida International.
Yeah, I am interested in what Louisiana Tech's going to do.
Because Bachmeier being their new quarterback made this game 10 times more interesting than it already is. That doesn't mean I'm going to watch it, though. But it made it a lot.
It is more compelling. And I do think Louisiana Tech ends up winning. But at the same time, it should be an interesting game. Wow.
Yes. So next,
Aaron Mitchell, the guy you like coming out, just got an interception on Brock Osweiler and took it in for a touchdown.
what is Brock Osweiler doing in this preseason game? Like, is Andy Reid just trolling the Browns at this point with Brock Osweiler in the game? Is he just trolling? We know he's going to be a roster cut, Joey, but like, is Andy Reid just trolling the rest of the NFL at this point with the addition of Brock Osweiler?
It is very possible. No, it was actually Biggers. They said it was Mitchell, but it was actually Biggers, so that's even a worse thing. Because Biggers is almost, guaranteed to be cut. So
probably Osweiler is too.
Worse.
I'd like to know who thought it would be a good idea to bring in Osweiler for a tryout. Because Andy Reid might put up their ass after the game. Whether it's the QB coach, whether it's Matt Nagy, I'm just curious who thought it'd be a good idea to bring in Osweiler for a tryout. But, okay, that will pretty much do it for this week. Next week, we'll preview the Atlantic Division. We will, I don't know what Joey's schedule for next week looks like yet, but we'll begin the first division preview for the NHL, the Atlantic Division. We will break down Week 1 college football games, and we will do a Thursday night debate for Lions versus Chiefs because that's a Thursday night game. We will do a prediction for that game at the end since I seem to be picking the Chiefs. Joey initially picked the Lions. He may switch to Kansas City, but I will give him a week to... It sounds like he is switching towards Kansas City, so, but yeah. We will talk about that game, break down all the matchups next week at the very end. And
I'm heartbroken. I just Bob Barker.
Tell me Bob Barker just died, Joey. Bob Barker must live. He must live.
I am absolutely I'm absolutely devastated at the moment.
Yeah, Bob Barker. If Bob Barker actually did pass away, we will put a screenshot of Bob Barker on the live stream to end the podcast because Bob Barker has earned that. Bob Barker is such an icon in the Hollywood industry, and he was the host of The Price is Right, that Bob Barker has actually earned the first ever celebrity screenshot for Draft Utopia, and we will change the screen share. So we'll stop the screen share, and then we will open up a brand new screen share, and we will figure out. So USA Today 1 hour ago, Bob Barker, who hosted The Price is Right for more than 30 years, dies at 99.
8/26/2023, just 4 months shows.
NBC News. So this is trending right now. Adam Sandler posted a tweet on Bob Barker. The man, the myth, the best. Such a sweet, funny guy. Out with talking. Love me. He will be missed by everyone I know. Adam Sandler's Twitter handle on Bob Barker. There's a Shooter McGavin Twitter handle. I wonder if Shooter McGavin has anything to say about Bob Barker passing away. And if it's offensive, I'm not going to read it on the air. If it's offensive, I'm not going to read it on the air.
I've got nothing else.
Out of respect for Bob Barker.
Nothing else to go with at this point.
I already have a photo. Yeah, all of a sudden, we were, but yeah, next week we will preview the NHL. We'll preview Atlantic Division in the NHL. We'll preview some college football Week 1 games, and we will preview the Chiefs-Lions game. So that's all next week. I literally was hoping we could get a Rip Bob Barker thing for like the credits. You know what? I can go into captions, and instead of saying follow us on Draft Utopia, could say what should I say for Bob Barker? 1,000 words.
I would go with the theme that came from Recaptured 80s. It's like he putting the big wheel in the sky. That's the best I got.
Rip to the greatest host of all time on Price is Right. Bob Barker captured our heart, captured our hearts and imaginations. And Happy Gilmore when he fought Adam Sandler's character on a golf course and won. Okay, I'll go with that. It's 191 words. But yeah, that. So instead of follow us on Twitter at DraftUtopia, we will update the ticker just for today. Just for okay, so it says that. Yeah, and I'll update the news ticker for Curb's fantasy draft, but yeah, rip to the greatest host of all time on The Price is Right. Bob Barker captured our hearts and imaginations when he fought Adam Sandler, his character, on a golf course and won. He lived until he was 99 years young, 4 months away from turning 100. Honestly, I'm more depressed about this than I was about Betty White passing away. Betty White was incredible too. So, yeah. We send our condolences to anybody in Bob Barker's family. Your dad was a legend and icon, and he will be surely missed. Anything else you want to add before we sign off, Joey? Because this is just really depressing news. I don't think
I'm not.
I don't think I can talk about anything else. Okay, we will still have a live stream for fantasy football. That at 8, but I'm signing on shoot and retreat. Yeah, these are